What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the One More Rep podcast. I'm your host. My name is Joseph Percher. This episode is brought to you by NutriBio Supplements and Crystal's Bikinis. Today, I am joined for the competitor series by Preslee Brown. Preslee is a competitor and a coach. He's currently 2 weeks out from being a super heavyweight at the Atlantic States in New Jersey. So, got to thank him for that. As you might imagine, not feeling the most amount of energy that someone might feel. So, Preslee, how you doing, man? I appreciate you making the time.
I'm doing pretty good. Yeah, I've been excited about coming on here since you mentioned it. This is my first time doing any kind of podcast or anything, so it'd be cool to talk to you. I've gotten through a lot of my prep watching your stuff, so
Awesome.
I'm happy to
Yeah,
happy to be on here.
that's really been the whole idea. I'm in contest prep. I know many of the people that I pretty much only use social media to um get in touch with other bodybuilders. I'm not one to really put personal stuff on there. That's like just where my bodybuilding community is online. And so most of the guys I talk to on there are in contest prep or coaching competitors. So that's really been the whole idea. It's just to make relatable stuff. I mean, we're all doing tons of cardio and we're whatever else. Um, so for anyone, for people that don't know you, give me a little bit of like the cliff notes in terms of your bodybuilding journey. And then what I really brought you on here to talk about is your contest preps and your contest journey, so to speak. Because we've talked personally, and man, you've been through some of the lowest lows, some high highs now this year, like looking the way that you do. So give me a little bit of background on you, competitive wise.
All right, yeah. So for a rundown just of how I got into bodybuilding, I played sports when I was younger. I played football. I was never like the athlete that you would build a team around or anything like that, but I was like competent. You know what I mean? Like I was a good
Sure.
fundamental player. I started on both sides of the ball, and yeah, but we didn't really train with weights or anything. So I was always like the tall, skinny kid. When I
Yep.
was like a freshman in high school, I was probably like 6 feet tall, like 130, 135. And then, so it was actually my older brother had gotten into bodybuilding first.
Oh, okay.
He had gotten in some trouble with like drinking and drugs and stuff. And when he wound up getting sober, a lot of the people that he was hanging out with were into training. So he'd be
Oh,
bringing
cool.
home. He's 9 years older than me, so I always kind of looked up to him,
Yeah.
and he'd be bringing home the magazines and stuff. So I remember it was
Nice.
like '07, '08, so it was like Prime J. The
Hell
Ronnie era
yeah.
was ending. Like it was cool seeing the guys, Dennis Wolf, and like all the crazy physiques. And so I didn't start from like a sports background of doing like 5x5 or any kind of like powerlifting thing like that. Like we started with the workouts that were in the magazines. It'd
Hell
be like,
yeah.
this is Jay Cutler's Olympia workout.
Right. This is his
And it
28
was
set
some,
arm workout.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's some ridiculous thing that no new trainer should be doing. But dude, I had a blast training with him. It was still looking back, like it was some of the most fun that I ever had training.
That's
And
awesome.
so by the time I was like 15, I was probably up to around like 165, but right away, like I was starting to notice I had like some shape and some cuts, and the
Yeah.
people that were around me, they could kind of see it. And then I wound up getting involved with drugs and stuff too. So I would always make some progress and then I would backslide and lose everything. And then I went on and on like that until I was in like my early 20s. But when I was like probably by the time I was finishing high school, I was like up around 200 pounds and like pretty shredded. Like I sent you the one picture, I think. When I was 17, I had like 8 pack cross striations in my
Striated
chest. Like,
pecs. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
all the kids were like, damn, but it was like the small pond syndrome. You know what I mean? So everybody's
Yes.
telling me like, oh, you got the craziest physique, but then I would go to like a bigger gym and I would see the guys that were actually jacked. And I was like, yeah.
Were you natural then, though?
So I was natural up until I was 17, and then there was a vitamin store. So this is like the primera for pro hormones.
Yes.
I don't know what the fuck the
It
guy
was
was
a
selling.
lot of the time, it was like
Like
super droll, just in a,
super droll. What?
yeah.
So that picture, I had taken them for 2 weeks, and I was
Okay.
up like a solid 15 pounds. Still to this day, I don't think there's anything stronger than the pro hormones that
Uh,
I took. That
no, no,
I mean,
definitely
they're
not.
terrible for you. It's not
I mean, they
sustainable.
were
It's
like
like,
designer oral steroids. Like,
yeah. I mean, anything that I've taken since then has not compared at all. Like if you could sustain that and keep like that strength of drug but not have the side effects, it'd be
Right.
insane. So yeah, so we didn't know what we were taking, dude. And some of the kids like that took the stuff, they had issues later on. Everybody
Bro,
got
almost
gyno
everyone
and
I
like,
know, I was just going to say, almost
yeah.
everyone I know that went down this road ended up with gyno or catastrophic, like patches of acne that would
Oh yeah.
scar them and would be there permanently. Like there were
Yeah.
no, you paid the price.
Oh,
If
for
you
sure.
made killer progress on one of these like designer steroid pro hormones, you were going to pay the price at some point.
Yeah, and I mean, we could have done more research and stuff, but we didn't know. It's the store
How
we were
would you
going
know?
into to buy protein. The guy's like, "Hey, I got these behind the counter." We're like,
This will make you
"All right,
jacked. You're like,
yeah,"
fuck. All right, let's
and
do
it's a
it.
pill, so it's like I'm not
Yeah.
even injecting anything. Like,
Right.
all right, why not? But yeah, so that was that time period, and then fast forward, I got into some trouble um over the addiction stuff or whatever, and it started to get more serious. So at that point, I got sober. So that was like 2014. I've been
Okay.
sober for like 10 years now.
Wow.
And I went back to college and started to like get my life together. And I had kind of left the gym behind. I was hitting a workout like every so often, and like the eating was still kind of programmed in my mind. So I still like ate the 5 meals a day and did whatever, but
Yeah.
I wasn't training. And then I got some electrical jobs because that's what I went to college for. And I had always thought like an electrician was 9 to 5 or whatever. And I kept landing in these factories where I'm working overnights, like working every holiday. Like I did not picture this, but it was good though. So in that time period, um, it wasn't really planned, but I wound up having a son when I was 24. So like all the acting childish and stuff had to get left behind right away. So I had to grow up pretty quick at that point. So he was born in 2016, and I was working overnights and stuff. Like I said, I didn't really touch weights at all. Like I hiked a lot because I always had like that part of my personality where I was never content to just like go to work, come home, and
Yeah.
just like do nothing. So
Right.
in upstate New York, they have like the Adirondack Mountains.
Yeah.
You can climb all the high peaks. So like
Yeah.
every day off that I had, I'm up there hiking like 17, 18 hours. And
Whoa. Nice.
it, we had like the Peloton bike at home, so I was riding that quite a bit. So I wasn't like out of shape, but I
Yeah.
wasn't doing any kind of bodybuilding or anything.
Sure.
And then my relationship with my son's mom, it was never great because it was kind of like an unexpected thing, and we
Sure.
just stayed together to try to create the best outcome. But finally, like we were both miserable. I was getting closer to 30, and for whatever reason, I just wanted to get back in the gym. So I
Yeah.
wound up getting a gym membership, and we started the process of separating, and that was just kind of how I got back into it. I was working out with some guys for my job, and they were into powerlifting. So
Okay.
off the couch for like 10 years, I
Right.
get back into powerlifting.
Straight into the
Yeah.
max out single. Yeah. Nice.
The three lifts, I mean, squats I did quite a bit, but I never touched flat bench. I never touched deadlifts, and they're teaching me the form for powerlifting with the arch and the whole thing.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
so I'm like, halfway through this program, and now muscle memory is coming back from before, but my tendons are still like, they're 10 years on the couch.
Yeah.
So we finished the program, we go to do our maxes, and I put like 315 on the bench and it flew up. And the guy was working out, he's like, dude, you gotta go up. You gotta go up. So we put tens on, and I lowered it, and my pec just pulled away. I looked down, I could
Oh.
see it through my shirt. I could see
Oh.
his face, and you could hear the noise and the whole thing. I'm like, oh,
It's like
well, there goes.
Velcro, isn't it?
Yeah, it was the worst feeling that I ever had. Yeah, it was horrible.
Oh.
And so that was like my reintroduction to working out. I immediately tore my pec,
Oh
and
man. Did you have surgery?
no, it was in the muscle. So the
Yep.
surgeon
I
that I
did the
went to,
same thing, dude. It's never been the same, by the way. I
no,
don't know about
it
yours.
has a deformity. So like,
Yeah.
I had it in the back of my mind when I got back into working out that I was going to compete because that was a dream that I had from being a teenager. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm 30 now. If I don't do it, it's not going to happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I kind of felt like that pressure of time. And then I tear my pec. I was devastated, obviously.
Oh.
And it was in the muscle. It was like a knee specialist also covered shoulders. So
Okay.
they lump chest in with that somehow. And then,
Okay.
so like
Yeah.
my first MRI, he MRIs my shoulder. I come back and they're like, "Well, your rotator cuff is good." I'm like, "Well, yeah, because nothing
You're
happened
like,
to it."
yeah,
Like,
my pec is
we got the
torn.
wrong body part, dude.
Right.
So I had to go back for
Uh,
another MRI. And he's like, "I'll be honest with you, I don't have a lot of experience with this injury." I'm like, well, what the fuck? Like, this is not what I want to hear. And I'm on Google. I'm looking up every case that it's happened and all these different things that people have done. So whatever, he sucked. The PT that they were going to offer me, I'm like, if this guy's this bad, I'm not coming here for PT. I don't
right.
care. And
Right.
I just got back in the gym just with 5 pound dumbbells and then tens, and I just worked back up,
Just rehabbed it yourself. Yeah.
And then so I had had gyno from before, and I knew if I was ever going to compete mentally, I'm like neurotic, you know what I mean? So I would never think about anything else if I
I'm
was
with
going to
you.
get on stage with a gyno, dude. I have a friend that's competing a
I've
couple,
had
like,
all of the exact same experience,
yeah.
down to the outside like recreational drug habit, to the left pec tear, flat benching, to the gyno surgery. I've had all these.
So
It's the
yeah,
tall white guy gene. It's the
it
tall
must.
white
It's the
guy
tall white guy
process.
syndrome. Yeah.
Yes.
So it was August that I tore my pec. October I had the surgery, and the surgeon had said to get lean. So I started dieting on my own. I walked in there pretty shredded.
Yeah.
Um, and he cut him out. I was recovering for like a month. I had the vest, the compression
Yep.
garment, and all the,
Yep.
but it went pretty smooth. There was no like swelling or hematoma. It never came back.
Good.
Um, and I had had a physical done. I had them test my test levels, and I think from working overnights for so long, or what I had done in
You
the
were
past, or
tanked.
whatever. Yeah, it was pretty low. It was like 300, and then my free test was pretty low. Um, but it was within their range or whatever, so they didn't want to do anything. So
Yeah.
I started taking tests again.
Yeah. Yeah.
I took, I kept it like what I would consider TRT. I was taking like 150 milligrams a week, so just
Oh, yeah,
normal,
for sure. Yeah.
and just kind of like recovering from everything, letting the pack heal, and then I got to like December that year, and I'm like, all right, if I'm gonna do it, I got to get serious about it. And I contacted Nate Spear, and he was my first coach.
Okay.
I had some friends at the gym that I was going to that were coached by Andrew Barry,
Yeah.
so I started following his page, and then I saw all the stuff that he would post with Nate, and I'm like, Nate, he's competed a ton of times. He probably has a lot of Andrew's experience and stuff, but he's not as big of a name. I think he had
Sure.
just turned pro at that nationals. It would have been like the 2021 nationals. So I reached out to him, and we got started like um right after Christmas that year. And I told him I wanted to do a show, so he put together a plan. So that's like January. The show was in August. I was going to do
Okay.
Vermont.
Yep.
So it was a pretty short window. And he's like asking what I'm taking or what I had been taking. I'm like, I've been off for like 10 years, dude. I'm just taking like 150 a week. So he just immediately jumped it up to, yeah, I was taking like 900 milligrams a week. So it was a
Yeah.
300 milligram shot Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And I kind of like blew up for my perception.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. Yeah.
from where I was, you know what I mean? And I was having a blast. Like it was
Yeah.
my first bodybuilding coach. The
Yeah.
show was in sight. And he's just like kind of like a real old school, real simple coach. There's nothing fancy about the diet. Like it's just pretty much just like 8 ounces of meat and then whatever your carb is, either rice or potatoes. And I hit everything that it said. Like I was
Yeah.
100 fucking every check-in was the exact spot on time. Like I wanted to impress this guy. You know what I mean? Like I
Yes.
wanted him to take me seriously. And like if the diet said 30 grams of carrots or something, I would never even think of switching that to like green beans. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
I was that
Right.
obsessed, like nuts, like just locked into a little bubble. And he got food pretty high. Like in the little 3 month off season we had, I probably worked my way up to like 6,000 calories.
Oh shit.
And this was when I was working like a real job. So I was at Amtrak, the
Yeah. Yeah.
railroad, I
Yeah.
was an electrician there. So it was like a hot, dirty ass environment, but we got the
Yes.
three breaks. So it was like
Oh,
it was
okay.
fine. And then so we worked through the off season. I think I started with him at like 215 probably, and I had gotten up to like 240 and stayed kind of
Nice.
lean. Um, so we were looking at classic physique at that point. It was before they raised the weight limits, so I could be like
Okay.
I think I could weigh like 220.
And what are you 6'1"?
Yeah, they height me at like 6'1.5",
Okay, all right.
so I can be 232 now, but
Yeah,
it's
nice.
that's not unless I get sick or something. It's not gonna
Yeah, that
happen.
ain't happening. Yeah.
So yeah, worked through the off season with Nate. He kept pushing the food higher, and then we went through the little health phase, and then the prep started. Just a regular 16 weeks, and it was super moderate. Like he didn't put any cardio in the beginning. I was still getting cheat meals, and I was feeling weird about it, so I started cooking them at home. He's like, "No, I want you to have real cheat meals." And then all of a sudden, at 12 weeks out, he's like, "All right, it's go time." And we went. He threw in 45 minutes of cardio, cut the cheat meals, and then he just started like removing all the little extras that he had added. Like the honey came out, the
Sure.
almonds came out, whatever, and tightened up kind of quick. And then I got to like a sticking point around like 230, and I just kind of stayed there for like 8 weeks. Probably, yeah, probably around like 8 weeks. And he just said I was recomping because I had never
Mm.
taken it was my first time taking any of the PEDs that you would take in prep. So like
Yeah.
I had never taken he started the first half with testing NPP. I'd never taken NPP.
Oh
And
man, you're
then
like a blank canvas at that point.
oh yeah, dude. I had run the one classic cycle when I was like 19 of just that you see on the websites, like the 500
Yes.
test and the 30D ball for 4 weeks or whatever.
Yes. Hell
Dude,
yeah.
I blew up back then. I
Hell
was
yeah. It
19 and I
works.
was 230. You know what
Hell
I
yeah.
mean? People thought I was big. Um yeah, so I wound up getting through that whole prep and it got pretty hard, but I don't know if you remember like your first show, how excited you were just to be doing it, that like
Oh
nothing
yeah.
felt hard. Like
Yeah, yeah.
I I look back on the shit I have to do then compared to what I have to do now. I don't know if it's just because I'm older and it's like harder because of that, but dude, I was getting up at like 3:30, 4 o'clock doing an hour of cardio, going to the rail yard, putting on a Tyvek suit, like working under a train in a little electrical room on my side all day, going to the gym. And then I'd be in my basement posing till like 11 o'clock at night, trying to
And
get
then you
everything
wake up and
perfect.
do it all over again.
Yeah,
Yeah.
dude, it didn't phase me one
Yeah.
bit. Like the thought of ever cheating on my diet, it was like non-existent that first prep. Um, yeah, dude. So then we got to the end, everything was going good. He was making posts on Instagram. He's like, he's in an ideal spot. He's getting refeeds every third day, this and that. And I was trying to fill back out. I was like 210, 215, and he was trying to fill me back out to the weight cap. That Wednesday came before the show, and I'm sitting there getting my son ready to go to summer camp, and I just start feeling like this knot in my stomach. I'm like, that's weird. And then anything I ate, it's like it just kept sitting on top of that cramp, and it wasn't moving. So I'm like, I feel like something bad's gonna happen. So I had to go take a drug test for the job I had now.
Yeah.
So I'm like doubled over, dude, standing there
Oh
trying
man.
to, and I didn't know what was going on. And so take the drug test. I park at a gas station, eat my pre-workout meal, and then I'll never forget the flavor because everything after this is just absolutely horrible. But I had Jacked Factory sour peach rings pre-workout.
Okay. Yeah, yeah,
2 scoops of that. I'm like, maybe that'll loosen up this cramp, the caffeine or something. It was probably like 400 milligrams of caffeine.
yeah.
And the pre-workout meal was like a sweet, artificially flavored cream of rice. So it's just
Yes.
like so much sweetener and shit. So I hit the pre-workout, nothing's moving, dude. I get to the gym, I'm like, I can't train. I'm like, what am I gonna do? I'll tan. I lay down in the tanning bed. Being horizontal, dude, is the dumbest idea in the world.
Oh
So
man.
it's all bubbling up. I made it like 5 minutes through the tan. I get up, I'm like, I don't know. I don't know what I'm gonna do. Grabbed all my stuff, went home. My sleep had been fucked the whole prep, and I had just
Yeah.
taken like 400 milligrams of caffeine. I laid down, slept for 4 hours straight. And then I had a bunch of appointments and stuff because it's right before the show. So I'm doing my haircut.
Yeah, yeah.
I had like some errands that I had to run. I had a massage that I was gonna get. I get to the first place and it just lets go, dude. And I start just shitting water, just geysers, like, and it didn't stop until the Monday after the show.
Whoa,
I
no
swear to God.
way.
So the first night I lost 6 pounds and I was peeled. Like I had
Yeah,
gotten
yeah.
peeled for my first show. I had glutes, I had the whole thing. And Nate's like, oh fuck. He's like, is it just anxiety or what? I'm like, dude, this is not anxiety. Like this is severe gastritis. Like
Yeah.
it was nuts. So anything I ate my body was just sucking all the water out of it and shitting out the
And
water,
flushing it.
but
Yeah.
the food wasn't moving. So I
Oh,
had this like painful ass knot of like just undigested
like a
food.
brick in your stomach.
It was, dude, it was crazy. I thought I was gonna have to go to the hospital. And then the second night I lost 2 more pounds. So I was down 8 pounds. And I'm like, I think I gotta pull out of the show. And he's like, well, he's like, if you can make it, you're gonna be in shape. He's like,
Right.
it's your first
You're
show.
going to be sliced. Yeah.
You should try to get there. So whatever. So Friday comes, I wind up having my friend drive me to Vermont. And I might have sent you the pictures. I'm at the gym where they do the tanning, and Andrew's there, and
Yes.
Nate is there in
Yeah. Was
person.
that like the super gym or no?
It was
Oh,
Lift
yeah.
Vermont, I think.
It wasn't,
Yeah.
but I know the picture that, yes. Yeah. Yeah. You're in a like a back pose and Nate's
Yeah,
standing
I
next to
pulled
you
the
looking in the
Christmas tree.
mirror. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it was that was my favorite experience from the whole weekend because I got to meet those guys in person,
Yeah.
and like they took some time out of their workout to grab a mirror and see me
They're good
posing.
guys, dude. They love
Yeah,
bodybuilding. So like seeing you after a whole prep where you got in shape and all this stuff, like I could see that being cool.
yeah. Andrew's like, just keep showing him your tricep because I mean, there was no water left at all. It was just like completely
Yes.
diced horseshoe. But the show sucked. Like a real super heavy or a real heavyweight came out and just crushed me. He was
It
actually
happens.
pretty
You can't
built,
play
and I was
defense.
no, I was like a stick figure. And then I
Did you
got
ever
the
figure out
classic.
what happened? Not to cut you
Still
off,
to
but
this day, no idea.
no clue.
Nobody.
Was it like like you don't think it was a reaction to drugs or
I think it was probably
anything?
the orals, maybe.
Yeah, yeah.
It
Were you
just
doing a
built up.
lot of Winstrol?
So I probably had gone up to like 100 mgs of Winstrol at prep, and then probably
That
like
could
a
very well
hundred.
be it, dude.
He went pretty heavy on the Halo just because I had a
Oh, that
lot
could
of
be
it.
it too. Yeah, that
So
could
I
be it.
think I got up to like 30 milligrams a day of Halo,
That's
and
fine. That's like pretty
yeah,
standard, actually.
is
Honestly,
it?
as crazy as it is, yeah, as crazy
Yeah.
as that sounds, it's pretty standard. The 100 Winstrol is if you would have asked me before you even said it, that's what I would have said is the
Yeah.
marker where guys get digestive issues, especially because you're trying to eat more now this final week. And coaches love to get that cosmetic benefit of going up to 100 Winstrol because it works if someone can handle it.
Oh, hell yeah.
But from 50 to 100, I just have always seen that it messes up someone's stomach.
So what I heard a lot about this year, like the cement factory, AJ Simmons protocol or whatever, he'll go up to 200
Oh, dude,
for the
AJ does not
ending,
fuck around, dude.
for the
If you've
final
ever
five
seen
days
a
or whatever.
bro, if you've seen a real AJ peak protocol, there's a reason that even the top level pros that look their best or win with
Yeah.
him don't hang around for very long.
And that's what I've heard because I have a friend from Professional Muscle Forum that works with him, and he'll tell me like what he takes. Dude, his cruise is like double what I am taking right now. And that's year round. Like,
I haven't
yeah,
seen much of the offseason or crew stuff, so I can't comment on that. I have
yeah,
seen two confirmed, like forwarded emails from clients that he put on stage from him. And they just sent it to me and they were like, "Can you believe that I did this?"
yeah.
And I could not believe it. Dude,
It's
I've
a
been
look though,
around.
dude. Like when you
Oh,
see
it's
it,
a
you know it's
wild
him.
look. You
Like,
know it's him. It's
yeah,
signature. Bro, it's every type of AI under the sun
right. He
daily.
fries the E2 and then he cranks up the Winstrol.
That Winstrol Proviron I've seen at 200 milligrams a day.
Yeah,
I've seen Halo at 60 or 80 milligrams a day. And I'm not trying to slander the guy. It's
right.
bodybuilding.
I think it's pretty. Yeah, like
You signed
it's
up
pretty well known too. Like,
and hired this guy knowing that this was his forte.
yeah,
And at any point, he could email you and say, do 900 milligrams of Winstrol a day. It's on you to say, I'm not doing that.
can't do it. Yeah, and I wonder if that's a lot of why guys don't stay around because they just can't recover from it. But
I wonder if it's something to do with whether they just feel safe doing it moving forward, or if even if they look their best, if they feel like they're on death's fucking doorstep and they
yeah,
just don't want to go through it again.
yeah, because you'll see it. He'll take guys that never won, they'll win with him, and then they'll still leave and never come
And
back.
then
And
they're
these are guys
gone.
that are doing it for a living. Like,
Right.
so it's got
Justin
to be
Rodriguez
something.
is a perfect example.
Yeah,
Every coach
Hassan.
under the sun has tried Hassan too. Every coach under the sun has had their shot with both of those guys. And
Yeah.
all of the feedback from the whole bodybuilding world is if anybody could get these two guys in shape, they're going to be fucking powerhouses. And AJ is the only one that could do it.
Oh yeah, all those big watery guys, and
Yep.
yeah, there's a few other like Logan Franklin. He had him looking really good for New York Pro and stuff.
What was the guy that won nationals the year that Dom Cardone won nationals? He was
Oh,
like,
I don't remember.
man, what was that guy's name? He ended up retiring. Man, I'm gonna have to go back and like superimpose the picture of the guy because it was this I believe it was like he was like a Puerto Rican guy or something. He had Alexi Rivera or something
Oh
his name
yeah,
was.
yeah. I've seen his stuff on his
Bro,
Instagram.
oh my
Crazy. Yeah.
God, he
That
had
dude's
that
super
guy
round too. Like,
round and
yeah.
as big like open pro big and then crazy crisp lines everywhere. Like you knew that, like you said, perfectly put, that was an AJ Sims look.
Yeah, as soon as you see it. But like you said, how far are you willing to risk it? You know what I mean? It's like I asked Dom about it, about the 200 milligrams of Winstrol.
Well,
He's like, not this time. All right, that's
yeah.
okay. He
Now I
said
want
he's done
to
it once.
so
He's done it one
let's
time.
fast forward a little bit. So
Yeah.
there
So
was
that
some
show
preps in
obviously didn't go
between.
good.
Yeah, yeah.
My off season after that, I didn't handle the rebound really well.
Yeah.
That it was like around the time that I was really like dating my girlfriend, so we were going out to eat quite a bit and stuff. And
Yeah,
I
yeah.
just, I knew I wouldn't be competing for a while. And I just had a hard time locking it back in. So like I
Yeah.
kind of fucked off for like 6 months or so, and then I linked up with Phil Viz for 3 months just to
Okay.
try it. I had seen him on a lot of shows and stuff, and I'm like,
Yep.
I had a little bit of extra cash kicking around. I'm like, I'm gonna give it a shot. And dude, he is not like what you see online. Like I was expecting a different person, one on one as a coach. Like
He's very
he
thoughtful.
wasn't. Yeah, he wasn't like the autistic kind of person that you see on Instagram and stuff. But it was like a real strange diet. It was my first introduction to like complicated shit. You know what I mean? Like my rest
Did he
days
have
were
you on like the yogurt and bagels and Rice Krispie treats and shit?
Rice Krispie treats, yes, pre-workout,
Cereal
cereal post-workout.
post. Yeah.
Rest day was zero carbs until I
And
got to
then
my
cheat
last meal.
meal.
Then it was a cheat meal. Yeah.
Cheat window. He wrote me a plan.
Cheat
I worked
two
with him
hours. Yeah.
2 hour window, dude. He fucked up my relationship. I shouldn't say that. That the way that I internalized that fucked up my relationship with food
Yeah.
for a few years. I had to really work that back out of me because I would listen to him. I was in an off season and he had like 5 no carb meals to sensitize you, which
Yeah.
I guess it makes sense. And then it was like, I can remember there was like some very specific language that I abused because he was like, cheat meal. And then underneath it was like 2 hour window, no limits or something.
That's what mine was too. Yeah. But then it
And
was also like no pussy ass food binges, don't wreck your digestion,
see,
X, Y, and Z. Like,
he probably added that
yeah.
after he heard what I was doing.
And his workout split was it was strangely set up. So like it had like some power movements, like some BC stuff, and then it had like some pump stuff,
Yes.
arms, like, and then it always fit like it was a 9 day cycle, I think, and it always finished with two
Yeah.
rest days and then restart it.
Yes. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
something like that, it was cool, but like when your kids got sports and you have to have like I need certain days off, it didn't flow super well. But I grew pretty good and it got me,
Yes.
it was like enough of a change that it got me back in the swing of being dedicated.
It gets
And
you
it was just,
excited to nail, like
yeah,
being the type of person where you were saying earlier, I nailed everything down to the gram. If it said carrots, I did carrots.
right.
When you're that type of person, and Phil knows this, Phil is this type of person himself, and that's why it works. He's a good coach, especially I think in the offseason. He will get you bigger. But all these little variables, especially even in the plan, I'm sure it was the same for you. Like if he wanted something timed, it was specifically timed
Oh yeah.
like the insulin or the GH, like it wasn't just
Yeah,
take
super
eight
detailed.
IUs a day. It was two
No,
IUs fasted, 4 IUs pre-workout. If you can afford it, another 2 IUs before bed. The insulin has to be at this time in the
yeah.
parking lot of the gym with the Rice Krispie treats.
Yeah,
Like,
either prior to eating or after eating. Like it was
yes.
very specific. And
Yeah.
then he was super against generic GH, so I never
Hated it.
even
He
used it. I
told me to take MK677 if I wasn't going to
Yeah.
buy pharma.
So we were getting towards the end of the 3 months, and I'd sent him some check-ins, and he's like, "I just want to take a moment to say, like, I really appreciate you setting up your posing and your spot's really good and all this other stuff." He's like, "I tell you right now, if you want to go pro, you could definitely go pro." And I felt like a little awkward hearing that. It just didn't. I don't know. At
You
the
didn't
time, it
what? You
was
didn't believe him?
I didn't believe it. Yeah, and we were still shooting for classic, and but
Yeah.
I did grow pretty well, and he kept me super lean, and it was definitely the most protein I've ever eaten, I think, in my life. Like
Yes.
when he did food increases, dude, I'm expecting carbs to go up. This dude's increasing meat. I was up at like
Yeah.
10 or 12 ounces of cooked meat a meal. I'm like, damn,
Yes.
dude.
Yep.
Um, so the 3 months came, I'm like, am I going to shell out the money to keep this going, or should I try something else? And I decided I was going to just do my own thing for a little bit, find somebody else. We parted ways. It was amicable or whatever. There was no issues with it. And then that's
On
when I
your
reached out.
side, not on his
Yeah,
side,
yeah,
mentally.
he's there like, fuck this. Uh, so I reached, there's two local coaches at my gym.
Yeah.
Neither one has like a huge track record of great clients or whatever. The one guy, he has one good natural client that is just genetically gifted. He's a
Yeah.
pro. I
Okay.
think anybody could coach him. So
Yeah.
I reached out to him like, how far before a show would you want to work with me? He's like, at least 6 months. Then I reached out to the guy that I wound up getting with, and he's like, dude, I'll coach you for free right now. Let's get started. So I'm like, all right, I'll give it a shot. He had been coached by Chris Tuttle. He had
Okay.
done one show. He looked good. He won his class, and he had put like by this point two women on stage. I think he had had no male clients.
Did he offer
So
you free coaching because he was trying to build his name up?
he wanted to get some male bodybuilding clients.
Okay. All right.
So he
I
figured,
respect it. Yeah.
and it was going to help me because I was getting it for free, and then
Yeah.
he's building his thing. So he sent me over everything. It was like this super like gimmicky app that he had spent a lot of
Okay.
money to get. I hate that, dude. I would rather have a Word document in an email. Like just I like old school. I don't want like a set clock where it's like 30 seconds of rest and I'm going back through. And he didn't like his idea of progressive overload was like three sets, and if you're failing at 10, but then 3 weeks later you get 12 on the third set, or like I can't do 3 sets because I'm taking the first one to failure. Like I'm never
Right.
gonna get more on the third set. It
Right.
didn't
Right.
compute, but I'm like, I'll try it. And it was at that point that I threw in growth hormone for the first time too. So
Okay.
everything kind of came together. I went from like 250 with Phil to a softer, but still seeing the scale go up this much. I got up to like 277.
Fuck. So you felt
So
big at this point.
yeah, pretty big jump. And
Yeah.
everybody's telling me that I'm big.
You're
Like,
big.
oh, you're way
Yeah.
bigger than last time. Yeah. So going through that off season with him, and I start to see a trend. Like he's not really answering my check-ins, and then
Mm.
he'll like bullshit with me at the gym a little bit, and that'll be like my answer. Like even if I have a
Right.
question, like, hey, I'm getting like having some libido issues or this, like I'm still getting no response. Or hey, I got wicked acid reflux. Should I drop it? Like I'm
Right.
just getting like a little 5 minute conversation 4 days later at the gym. So I'm like, that's a warning
Mm.
sign right there. And then he would take my shit and post it on Instagram and stuff, but not answer my check-in. So I'm like, yeah, I don't know, like not liking where
Shyster.
this is going. Like, yeah, so we ran through like a little cleanup phase, and I dropped down to like 260, and then I started that prep.
Okay.
And his first move, he cut my carbs in half, and then the next move, he took the carbs out completely.
Oh wow. And
So
then
I
how
went,
far out?
dude, like 12 weeks out. So I'm on zero carb, and the first week I'm like,
He's trying
this
to
is
have you make
doable.
light heavyweight, huh?
I don't know what the goal was.
Holy
It was
shit.
crazy. So the first week I'm like, yeah, this is doable. Second week, dude, I could barely get up the stairs. I'm like, oh my god, I'm not gonna make it through 11 weeks of this.
Right.
My sleep is like I'm 2 weeks out. The whole thing, like
Yes.
my strength is going. Um, so he kept using Chris as like a means of giving me comfort that things were going in the right
Like
direction. So
justification.
yeah, he'd be like, oh, I sent your check-ins to Chris. He's like, we're in a great spot. And then he's telling me that he's paying for a mentorship with him, which I have my own theory that it never existed. Looking back at it, I think he would take my check-ins and then just give me a fake answer that he thinks Chris would have said. Because I've listened to a ton of Chris's stuff about dieting. He doesn't just drop you to keto at 12 weeks out. Like it's carb
No.
cycling, it's pushing and pulling, like it's the stuff that everybody does. So
And Chris
he
does it
get
very well. Chris is good, dude.
right,
Chris
right.
knows bodybuilding, like
Yeah.
in and out,
He
in and out.
in my
Chris knows
list of
bodybuilding.
coaches, like he's up there at the
He's
top. Like
at a
he's good.
top tier in
Yeah,
terms
like
of like
100%.
service and understanding. Like he's at up at the top.
And he knew that I felt that way and he was dangling it because when we
Yes.
were just talking as two competitors, he's like, you should look into Chris. And I'm like, yeah, I'd like to.
Mm.
Um, so he gave me back 100 grams of carbs by taking my protein. So he
Okay.
cut my protein. He gave me, I was allowed to have it in three meals, either the first three of the day or the last three of the day. It was 35, 35, and 30. So it was a speck, like a dab of cream of rice, or like it
Right.
was nothing, dude. It was
One
just more
spoonful of
aggravation.
cooked
Yeah.
rice. That's 100 grams of rice.
So I started getting like really watery ankles, like my underwear would leave water lines, and it was just the fatigue and the stress on my
Yes.
body
Yeah.
that never it was never relieved with a refeed
You doing
because
tons
his
of
whole
cardio at this point too?
cardio didn't get super high. I think I got to like 35 minutes. It was just the
Okay.
diet. Like I was
Yeah, he just
probably on
starved you.
like it was like 1,700 calories, like steady, like there
As somebody that's 6'1" and 260 to start, that's
to
wild, dude.
start. Yeah. So I got to 240 and then it just stopped. And he's like, I
Yeah.
can't refeed you until you're under the weight. He's like, I can't risk it. He's like, unless you want to drop classic and just do bodybuilding. And I'm like, that doesn't sound like a thing. Like
Just
you could definitely
inexperience.
yeah, like, you could definitely refeed me. Like
Yeah.
so
Right.
I got to 6 weeks out. I'm talking to a friend, and he's like, listen, dude, if you're gonna scrap this and try to save this thing, you got to do it right now. He's like,
Yeah.
you should reach out to my coach. He's super attentive, all this other stuff. He's like, he's been following you. He knows your whole story. He's like, he'll work with you. Because I was posting all the keto stuff, and people were like in my DMs, like, yo, you think this is the way to go? And I'm like,
Yo, what the fuck are you
yeah, yeah.
doing? Yeah.
So he put me on with his coach. You might know him because he's down in Florida too, I think. Mike Nassif.
I do know Mike. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So he's a great guy. He stepped right in. He just
Yeah.
didn't have enough time. Like
Yeah.
he didn't have enough time to undo what this dude had done. Because I was like, I didn't even
Yeah.
realize how far gone I was.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he started feeding me, put me on T3 right away, and my weight just kept going down, kept going down, kept going down.
Yeah.
So he fed me for 5 days straight before I gained a pound back.
Wow.
It's just like, a hard spot for him to juggle. So the main pictures that I sent you, that was my first show. To peak for that, I was eating probably like 500 grams of cooked rice a meal with like either 15 or 20 grams of butter in each one, whether it was beef or chicken, for like a
Yeah.
week straight, you know?
Yeah.
And then he sent his client, my friend, to do like the pump up workout with me and get some
Yeah.
pictures. My friend's like, dude, you don't have a pump like at all. The show is in 2 days. And Mike's asking me, he's like, how are your muscle contractions? And I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about.
You're
He's
like,
like,
I
what
can't
do you
feel
mean?
that.
I couldn't feel anything, dude.
Oh
So that
man.
show, it was run super weird. I got on stage for bodybuilding and it was just me, and not to be mean, but like literally just a fat guy
Yeah. Yeah.
that was just doing it for the experience,
Yeah.
and so I beat him, which is not very satisfying. And then by the time I got to the classic prejudging, whatever glycogen I had was burned up from him. I
Yeah.
came in second to a kid with no legs, no back, like, but he was full, so he had abs. Like I was so flat, my abs weren't even pushing through. I had enough. Came in second,
What'd
immediately
you
came
weigh?
back then
What did you weigh at this point?
224.
Okay. All right.
And the lowest I got was like 219 in that prep before I started filling out. So it was crazy. But right back to the weight that I was a year and a half prior with Nate. I got
Right.
on stage at that show at like 213 after shitting for 5 days straight. So it was like, it was crazy. Then 2 weeks later was the Cutler. And he actually flew out to be with me at that show, Mike. And so he tried basically the same thing, but just started a little bit earlier,
Yeah.
but it didn't work. Like the clean food was not sticking. What we really probably would have needed to do was like muffins,
Shitload.
cookies, pizza, like whatever.
Yeah.
But he likes clean food, so we just didn't do it.
Yeah.
And I got to prejudging, dude. I went to my legs are my best body part. So if those
Yes.
are gone, everything's gone. So I went to pose my legs, and I couldn't feel them. I'm like, fuck. And my upper body was nothing. Like I got
Right.
on stage, got destroyed in bodybuilding, got destroyed in classic. I was fucking livid. And dude, I went out and he's like, just go out. He's like, just shitload, dude. See what happens for finals. I must have ate 3,000 calories. I had like a couple of those like mail order cookies. I ate
Yeah.
those. I went to Shake Shack. I ate everything. Like
Holy fuck.
the only thing I didn't do was water. So I did like 4 ounces of water.
Okay.
So I get back and he's like, well, what did you actually eat? And I told him, and he's just looking at me in disbelief. I'm like, I'm telling you, dude, like
Yeah.
nothing's sticking. My stomach wasn't distended. I didn't spill. So finals, I looked a little bit better, but still it sucked. And then and pretty much as soon as I came home from that, that's when I started working on this rebound that got me
Yeah.
to where I am now.
Yeah.
And that was the main thing you wanted to touch on, right? I could run
So
through
let's
that
talk
real
about
quick.
it. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So you come all the way down. You're 219 at your lowest,
Yes.
in this crazy like over dieted state, which I've said time and again, you don't ever want to end up there necessarily, but those are always the craziest transformations that we see on enhanced male bodybuilders. Over dieted, and then they have an insane rebound and they end up
Yeah.
40 pounds heavier with lines in their glutes, which is basically where you're at. So, what was that? Did you do that on your own? Did you do that with Mike?
So I started that with Mike. So his thing, when you hire him, it's for 3 months minimum. So I
Yeah,
picked him
yeah.
up at 6 weeks before the show, and then we worked
Okay.
through the end of that 3 months, and then we split ways. Not because of any negative reason, just
Yeah.
it wasn't the fit that I wanted. It was just something
Yeah.
I grabbed quick in the moment because a
Yeah.
friend had recommended it. And we still talk here and there. We DM a little bit on Instagram or whatever. But so I worked through that with Mike. Right after I came home from the show, I immediately bumped GH up to the highest that I had ever run. So he had me do 2 in the morning, 6 at night. So I was doing 8 a day of generics. Um, and my
Wait, let
body
me
was
stop you.
just,
So
yeah.
that's a question that I ask everybody now. Have you only have you run farm or have you only run generics?
So for this prep that I'm doing right now, I picked up 2 kits of Serostim to run at the end. So
Okay. All right.
at 6 weeks out, I switched from Metatrope to Serostim. Same amount of IUs, 6 IUs.
Yeah.
I don't really notice a huge difference. I wanted to because,
Of course you wanted to. You
but
paid for a difference. Yeah.
dude, yeah.
When
So
you
I mean,
said
I've already,
Metatropes, were those like TP blacktops?
yeah, yep. I like those. I've had no
Man, they
issues
were
with
the
that.
best in the game for a long time. It's a shame I think he's
Yeah,
retired.
yeah. Everybody's all messed up with the tariffs and
Yeah,
stuff. But
yeah, yeah.
so yeah, no. So for that rebound, I ran 400 test, 400 mast, and the eight I
Okay.
use a GH, and I went from the 224 in the end of April, and by June I was like 270, still with lines in my glutes. So
Whoa.
just exploded more than I ever thought I would, and I had been 270 before, but this was a whole different look. Like
This
I
was
finally looked
bodybuilder
like a bodybuilder.
270. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
So
Bro,
yeah, it
that's
went great.
light on the gear. Like that's a open bodybuilding GH amount. But dude, that gear is like I made jokes, but man, that's not much more than what I at this point what I would cruise on.
Yeah. So I've always been pretty light with the actual injectables. So even
Yeah.
after I parted with Mike, went to Mexico for a week, and then had the same thing where I was shitting for like a month straight. So I lost the whole month of July.
Oh man.
We all were. It was from the water or whatever, but
Yeah,
everybody
yeah.
else's went away. Mine lingered for another 4 weeks, and then it finally just went back to normal. Um, then I pushed the food and stuff super hard and really tried to grow into being a super heavyweight. So from like 270 to like 280, things were still looking pretty good. And then once I pushed past 280, like my appetite disappeared. And it just seemed like just more inflammation was just growing in my midsection.
More visceral
And
fat. Yeah.
yeah, and the gear that I had, it was like really nodding me up. It was my first time using Primo. So
Mm,
I was running, I want to say 750 tests,
okay.
maybe 450 Primo and 300 EQ. So it was like a
Okay.
middle of the road cycle, nothing
Right.
super crazy, but
No.
and still I was down to 6 IUs a GH at that point, I think.
Okay.
And
Was this by yourself you were doing this?
now so I had tried a few different coaches. I worked with Robin Strand for 3 months.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
I had met him in person in Canada, and I was just kind of like not sure what I wanted to do. And he was like a good in-person trainer, but it was the same thing, dude. I got with him. It was like this. It was this app,
Mm.
and it was
Do
just
you
like,
feel so like you've had a couple of experiences like this with when someone has like an app, right? Do you end up just feeling like you're just a number to them instead of being
yeah,
personally coached? Yeah. I've thought so.
yeah,
I worked for a prominent coach that has his own platform, let's say. And at one point, he was really trying to push me to move my personal clients
I
onto an
would
app.
never. Yeah.
And I was like, dude, I respect you, but I am not doing this because I would just feel like I was getting a robot answer or like an
Yeah, it's
assistant
just
coach's
really,
answer or something.
yeah, it's like really impersonal, I don't know.
It's completely impersonal, but go ahead.
So yeah, I got up. The heaviest I got was like 288, and
Fuck.
but it was like gym performance was going down now because I'm
Pumps
so
aren't as good.
inflamed, and yeah,
Yeah.
like the whole
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
So that 3 months had ended. I told him that I just wanted to do my own thing. Again, he didn't, there's no issues with it or anything. So it was at that point that I started to like want to get more educated about
Yeah.
what I was doing. I pulled some labs; they were bad.
Yeah.
My HDL was down to like 12.
Okay.
It just
That's not
wasn't great.
great. Yeah.
CRP was super high because of all that inflammation, probably from the bad gear and stuff. And
What's
my
super
test
high?
was what, 6, I want to say.
Okay. Fuck yeah.
Yeah, it was high. And I heard Jason Theobald on a podcast talking about his slingshot method, where he basically reversed his shingles, took tirzepatide and
Terzepatide. Yes.
few
Yeah.
other
Yeah.
peptides and stuff, and then he went on to do a 7 week prep and win his show.
I
So
heard it.
normally when
Yep.
those shows come on, I'm super turned off.
Right.
I don't like. I'm not like really into the peptides and all like the really nerdy shit. And
I'm with
when
you.
those guys
Yeah.
come on the podcast, my brain just kind of shuts off. But the way he presented it, I'm like, man, I should probably learn about this stuff. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And his university had come up, so I paid for that and went through the class on my own. And he's got like a flush diet that he starts people with when they come to him, and it's just low protein Mediterranean diet, a lot of juices, a lot of fruits. So I ran that on myself before I put anybody else through it to see what it would do. No caffeine, no training, so you just do restorative yoga and walk. No bullshit. 2 weeks, and I also added in retatrutide. 2 weeks, I lost 25 pounds. I went from
Wow.
275 to 250. My waist came in 4 inches. I could pull it in
Wow.
again finally. And I
Wow.
have the pictures. And that was how I started a relationship with Jason. I sent him these pictures. I'm like, hey, this is what your university did for me. I'm like, this is crazy. I couldn't believe
Yeah.
it. I don't know if you get it like when you're heavy running GH and stuff, like my feet would hurt
Oh,
because of the
100%.
water and stuff.
Yeah.
This
100%.
It was the first time that my feet didn't hurt in probably like 6 months, dude, because all that water was just gone. I felt super healthy, but it's not really like a diet that you could bodybuild
It's not
because it was
sustainable. Yeah.
no. But if you wanted to live to be 100, like that would probably be the way that I would
That,
do
or
it.
if you just needed a hard reset the way that you did, it
Yeah.
sounds great.
So I stayed with the Retta. I was doing 1 milligram a week, so half a milligram twice a week,
Yeah.
and I put in like methylene blue, NAD plus, all the stuff that he had talked about. Low dose
Yeah.
naltrexone I put in, and a couple things to fix my lipids. And I use injectable L-carnitine. And I pulled bloods again 8 weeks later, and my HDL was in the high 40s for the first time ever.
Wow.
My trigs came down by 100.
Wow.
Yeah, dude, it was not. It was a full reversal of all my health markers in 8 weeks. But I wasn't big, like.
No,
But
but healthy.
yeah, I was peeled. Like,
Yeah.
so I
Yeah.
was talking to Jason, like, where do I go from here after this flush diet? Thinking he was going to say like carb cycling or whatever. He's like, I think you should go carnivore. I'm like, carnivore, dude. I'm like, I'm not a keto guy. Like,
You're like,
he's
I'm
like,
trying to be
trust me.
huge.
Yeah. He's like, just do it. He's like, you're gonna reset your insulin sensitivity. He's like, carnivore and fasting. So I did a couple fasts, like 24 hours. I worked it up to like 70 hours. It was like the first full night no eating, second full night no eating, and then I ate on that third day, and I got down to 240
Wow.
by Christmas time. Yeah. And I was peeled but very flat, but I had like
Yes.
dug out hamstrings, glutes, the whole thing. So I was 240 at this point, and then I was just ready. I was ready for carbs, and I started to put
Yeah.
them back in slowly. And I did all this on my own, just talking to different people. And I put them in like pre and post workout, and then I started spreading them out throughout the day. And I started hitting the insulin and Humalog, just pre and post workout, like John Meadows style,
Yeah.
simple, just something I could do on my own. And then I was taking like 300 tests, and that was it. And when I was doing the flush diet, I dropped down to 150 test again and was just doing like actual TRT. But I had put the growth hormone back in at a bottle a day. So I was up at 12 IUs. So I was running low gear but high growth hormone. Dude, I just swelled up. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe the results that I was getting. It was insane. It was a whole second post show rebound,
Yes.
except instead of like
Healthy.
that like edema, like watery post show look,
Yes.
where you still have like the glute lines, but you could tell
But
you're
you're
softer.
swollen. Yeah.
Dude, this was just like hard as
Hard.
fuck post
Wow.
show rebound. And yeah, I mean, that carried me right until like February. So I started this prep at 270. And I had been in a Discord for one of like the more well known YouTubers. I'm not going to go into a ton of detail, but one of like the super high dose guys,
Yeah.
because I
Yeah.
had the shitty gear that I was getting off the forums, and everybody on the forum is, telling me that I'm wrong. The gear can't be bad because they're all using it. So I'm like, let me get off of here. Let me find a whole different source for this. So I pay for the subscription to this Discord. It's got some sources on there. They're all super expensive. So I did it like once and then I just went back to finding my own shit. But so it was like very peptide based and it was like a ton of guys with super mediocre physiques just
Yes.
running massive amounts of shit and just nerding out over all the stuff that I don't care about. And I'd be in there, I'd be trying to post like a training thing or any kind of question. It would get no traction, dude. I'd be
Right.
completely ignored. And then some dude would post like a box of crumble cookies and he'd get like 85 comments on it. So I'm like, I'm in the wrong place, dude.
Some
Like I gotta
185-pound guy in a
like
medium t-shirt post
I,
crumble. Yeah.
I gotta get out of here. But there's a couple good guys on there. And the
Can I
coach that I
guess
wound up
whose Discord that was or no?
yeah,
Was it Chase?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. All right.
So like he's probably one of the biggest guys in there, but that's not a physique I would want. Like,
I would hate if I took as much shit as he did and I spent as much money as he did on
yeah, dude,
bodybuilding. He built his own gym. He uses a bottle of Serostim a day, all this stuff. And that was the end result, man.
that's what I'm saying. Like,
That'd be tough. That'd be tough.
if you mention generics, you get flamed. But I'm like, I'm
Right.
bigger than all you guys. Like, I don't get it. Like, you're spending triple, but I'm bigger.
I'm
And
bigger
like,
than you and I'm spending less. What's going on here?
but of course, that's where I pulled my coach from, which was like, what am I thinking? But so, the start of my prep, I was doing like pretty similar to what I had been doing in the off season. I had like one high carb day where I would run them up to like 12, 1,500 grams of carbs. My rest days would go pretty low carb, like 150, 200. And then I'd have some training days that were like 5, 600.
That's
And then all
almost
this,
Justin Harris-esque. Not to cut you
yeah,
off,
it was
but
similar. It was a similar
similar.
structure to that.
Before you go on, what are you
Yeah.
doing on the 1200 days? Juice,
Um,
honey?
yeah, so I wouldn't go super crazy with junk like candy or anything like that. I would use
Yeah.
honey. I would use a lot of fruit. Like,
Fruits? Yeah,
dude,
yeah.
if you weigh out frozen mango, you can get 50 grams of carbs and it's like nothing. It's a couple bites or dates or a banana.
Dried
Like those are all
dried
pretty dense.
pineapples really good.
Yeah,
Raisins are crazy. Like
they're dense. Yeah.
they're dense. Yeah.
Real jelly I would use like the
Okay.
the one it's only like three ingredients, something like
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
like honey.
I
That would
got
be
you.
the craziest I would get. And then it was just a lot of rice.
I was
I'd
gonna
stay away
say
from
700
potatoes.
grams of rice a meal or what?
I mean, it'd be close to that. I would try to
Yeah.
keep it around like 400 or 500, and then add other stuff to it.
Yeah,
And that's
yeah.
where I'd have like the fruit on the side, and it would just be really trace fats, as low as I could get
Right.
the fats.
Right.
Um, and then pretty much every day wound up being super low fat. So I think towards the end, I was on like maybe 8 or 12 grams of added fats, and all the
Yeah.
meats were
Lean.
nothing fat. Yeah, nothing fattier than like 96.4 beef. And you don't feel great on that. The
No, you
low, super
don't.
low fat, no, it's not a great feeling.
No.
So I had gotten in shape really quick because I had started in shape, and
I want
that's
to
kind of
say
when we talked.
I think the bigger you get, the worse you feel on high fats. I think there's some type of
Yeah,
like ratio, like per what your body weight is, you need more grams of fat per pound at the bigger you get. Because I can remember being on low fats when I was not like, when I'm in the 190s or something,
yeah,
and it didn't affect me
wasn't
at
bad.
all. I've been like, in a contest prep where I'm 250 at 8 weeks out or something, and I'm on no fats, and I feel like I'm dying.
You feel like death. Yeah, that's what I
Yeah.
noticed this year. Like, damn, there was something to this. But I mean, it worked. So for the prep cycle, because it stayed pretty much the same for that whole beginning period of time, I ran 500 test SIP, 500 EQ, 250 mast probe, and 250 tren Ace.
Okay.
And we put the trend in right in the beginning. And I'm thinking it's going to stay in for like 4 weeks or so. And he just kept saying, like, I'm liking the look. I'm liking the look. So next thing I know, I'm like, am I
You're
going
like,
to
yeah,
run
but I
trend
can't
from,
sleep.
yeah, am I going to run this from February till July? Like, that doesn't
Right.
seem like a great
Oh
idea,
man.
dude. Like, so there, just a couple like red flags started to come up as the prep got further along. And, like I said, I reached out when you were asking for questions. I asked about the risks of getting ready too early. And you guys
Yep.
talked about it on your show and you went into more detail than I was expecting, even of like how complicated a prep gets when you're in shape
Yeah.
and you're a tall, skinny white guy and you try
Yes.
not to ruin it.
Yeah.
And it got me thinking more and more about it. And the way that you and Austin were talking about it, like you need somebody to really watch closely, reverse you basically
Yes.
into the show. So I started to really wonder, like, does this dude have the experience for that? Because he had only prepped like one or two, like not a ton of preps.
And and how
Like,
many how many 260-pound in shape like tall white guys
right,
have you prepped? Like that's a different game.
none. So when we
Right.
first met back in the fall, he had wanted to coach me, and I'm like, no offense, but have you ever prepped super heavyweight? And he's like, no, but I have a pro classic guy. I'm like, all right, well, I'll think about it. And I thought about it, and I'm like, don't do it, dude. You did it last year.
Yeah.
Don't
Yeah.
fucking do it. Sure enough, February comes, I do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like an idiot. And it's going okay in the beginning when it wasn't that complicated, when I'm in a weekly check-in or whatever. So I get to like what would have been 8 weeks out, maybe, and he wants to bump me to daily check-ins, which is fine. He's watching more closely, whatever. But he's got his phone on do not disturb until like 10 a.m.
Yeah.
And he
You're like,
works a
dude,
nine
I'm
to
I'm
five.
four
Like
meals in already
that's what I'm so I'd get a text at 10:30 saying, don't do cardio today. I'm like, brother, it's been done since 4 a.m. Like, if you're gonna do this, do it for the next day.
for the next day.
Do it the
Yes.
night before. Then I went through one stretch where like 36 hours went by, no response. And I started talking to a couple people, and there had just been some weird shit that started showing up in my plan and all his other clients' plans at the same time, like chicken and flax for the first 3 meals of my rest day with intermittent fasting.
I was
Dude,
gonna say
after
when you told me the intermittent
like
fasting thing, I was
fuck,
like,
man.
dude, this guy has hard striated glutes at 12 weeks out when we first talked.
Yeah,
And
like
then you're telling me that you're doing like low to no carb rest days that include intermittent fasting. I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, this is someone that just doesn't know big bodybuilders.
so I hate to even say this, but what it turned out being, because like I said, I hired Dom, who
Yeah.
is close with AJ Sims, and I
That's
talked
Dom
to,
Cardone for the
yeah,
audience.
and I got referred to him by somebody from Professional Muscle that works with AJ Sims.
Yeah.
And my previous coach, his coach is AJ Sims. So when I explained what my plan was, and I had to buy these special oats off Amazon and like this special walnut butter and all this stuff, and he's like, "Yo, this is AJ. It's
Yeah.
like cut and dry. This is him. The chicken and flax, the fasting." He's like, but he's not using it the way that he does. Like this is usually in the off season to maintain your appetite and stuff for 1 or 2
Right.
rest days when you're driving high calories. It's like you
Right.
probably shouldn't be doing this.
Right.
And I had had so much anxiety over it because I'm like, am I gonna fucking botch this prep again after I worked this hard? And I
Right.
once you have doubt in your coach, like it's normal 2 weeks out, yeah, you're doubting everything. You don't know what the fuck's going on. But 8 weeks out, if I'm wondering if this guy is gonna be able to pull this off, it's not a good feeling. And it was really like ruining my sleep on top of some of the other stuff. I was sleeping maybe 2 hours a night because I was waking up starving like 1, 2 a.m. And so at 6 weeks out, I let him know that I was just going to go a different direction. Like, I don't have
Yeah.
anything negative to say about you or your coaching. And I really don't. Like, he's a good
Sure.
guy. He's a guy that works a regular job and then has a side coaching business. So he's very busy. He's got
Yeah.
a
It's tough.
he's got a newborn, versus somebody that's just a full-time coach who's going to be able to give you more attention.
Yeah.
You have to
It's
figure
tough.
like,
There's a lot that goes into dealing with actual competitive bodybuilders, especially the
Absolutely.
higher up you go. And you're talking about someone, like within the next year or so, you're going to be a national level super heavyweight bodybuilder. That's the pinnacle of amateur bodybuilding. So you're talking about someone that is doing this as like a side gig and like only can answer you here and there and then has kids. It's like you're doing this basically full time. You need someone that matches that.
Right. So switching to Dom, it was like immediately everything got simplified. So I had been using SLU, 5 amino, Retta, um, a laundry list of health supplements, which I love
Yeah,
health supplements. I think they're great.
sure.
This was every health supplement in the book. Dom looked at it. He's like, dude, how do you do this and work and do your kids' sport? He's like, how do you figure
Right.
this out? I'm doing, injecting GH 4 times a day. It's in a lunchbox. And this, I'm like,
Oh man.
he's like, dude, we're cutting 90% of
That's
this
so
stuff
high
out.
stress.
And he hates GLPs. So that was the only thing I was really nervous about. I'm like, dude, I've been on
Yeah.
this Reddit since like the fall. What's going to happen? He
Yeah.
took it out. Nothing happened.
That's great.
No bullshit. Like there was no crazy appetite rebound. I'm hungry,
Sure.
but like
But you're
reasonably,
sliced. Yeah.
yeah. And the diet's just real simple. It's real clean foods. There's one
Yeah.
meal that uses protein powder. The rest are just all whole foods. It's like old school bodybuilding, but it's been great.
Yeah.
And he's just removed like he'll pull like 20 grams of rice here, 20 grams of rice here, and it's just these tiny changes. Or like he'll pull out one egg. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
But then I look and like my weight hasn't dropped, but I am getting more peel. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah.
Um,
That and he's feeding. I've seen that you've had high days as well.
yeah, a couple high days, and he's used a couple cheat meals, which is
Yeah.
fine. Burger and fries, and we did sushi
Go get
once.
sushi. Yeah. Yeah.
So all that's been good. And when I started with him, I was pretty like pulled down to like 254, and I was starting to get that drawn out look. And
Yeah.
I'm back up to like, dude, he got me back up to like 260, and I've just kind of been parked there.
Man.
So
Good for you, dude.
yeah, and now I'm 2 weeks out. It looks like it's all going to come together.
It's gonna
Um,
come together, dude. You are gonna look vicious up there, dude. After all this,
I'm
after
hoping.
all of this craziness
Yeah,
with
I'm hoping.
two like, you know, nightmare preps, people pulling you in all different directions, you're gonna end up, fuck, man, 255, 260 in the conditioning that you're in is serious. I don't care what show you're doing. I don't care if you're an amateur. I don't care if you're a pro, whatever. People see that, dude, and that is some serious, real deal bodybuilding. So,
I'm
man, I love to
hoping.
hear it.
Yeah,
I'm excited for you. I was so, you had mentioned like that you wrote in this question about your own circumstance and like what are the negatives of being ready too soon. And we went into the detail that we did. I felt passionately about it because we had talked and I'm like, man, this is an awesome guy. This guy loves bodybuilding. He's got all these other things going on in terms of real life that he's juggling and he still makes it all happen. The last thing that I want to do, the last thing that I want to hear about is that, no disrespect, but some no name coach like ran this guy into the ground again and he doesn't get to show how good this physique is. That was like the
right.
center of it all is why we went into such lengthy detail about it because as we are doing that episode in my mind I was almost talking to you. I'm almost like imploring you, go find someone that
Listen,
knows what the fuck they're doing, dude, please.
yeah, and to be fair, I do want to throw this out there. Could he have had a plan that worked? Absolutely, dude. And I would never know. But do I want to
Communicate that
gamble
though
again?
then.
Like,
No, you need to communicate. If you're that
right.
far off and leaving your guy to question everything at 12, 8, 6 weeks out, and you're not communicating that you have a greater vision for all this, man, you made the right call.
Yeah. So, and I was collecting a ton of data, morning weight, evening weight, daily check-in. That's all more shit that I got to do, which is fine. I'm happy to do it. But you got to give me back what I'm giving you. Like
Yep.
when I got left on red, I'm like, hey, are you okay? I didn't
Right.
hear from you yesterday.
Right.
I just got like some snarky answer. You know what I mean? Is like,
No,
uh,
that's,
you know,
man, he works for you. That's something that you have to
Right.
remember.
And I'm
Like he
not, dude,
works
I'm
for
not
you.
like a person you got to chase around or
No.
I'm asking for tons of like favor. I would never ask for a cheat meal or a refeed or anything. I get
Yeah.
the plan. I go, sounds good. And I just
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
else am I going to do? Like, that's what this is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
So,
I'm excited for you, man. I was relieved when you made the move, especially because Dom is awesome. I know
yeah.
people personally that I'm close with within bodybuilding that have been in it for a long time and they've worked with a handful of other coaches or whatever. And then they got with Dom and Dom leveled them up in
Yeah.
terms
I'm
of
really happy.
their
I can
look, in
definitely,
terms of the process. And then, like you said, just simplifying things. You know
yeah.
what? You don't need some big, crazy, elaborate thing where you're shooting GH 4 times a day, walking around with it in a lunchbox, worrying about if you're intermittent fast. Like, all of that is just added stress for someone that has kids, for someone that has a relationship, a full-time job. You don't need all that. Like the basics work for like they are the
100%.
basics for a reason.
Yeah. And it, it's just, it kind of like changed my mind a little bit to the level of complexity with some of the stuff. Like, sure, a 12 or 1500 carb refeed is fun. It's cool to post online and stuff, but is that really like something very controllable that you can duplicate each? Like, do you need to drive it that high? Or can it,
Also, I just when
like,
I hear that, it's especially in like a deep prep setting when someone's like basically at the risk of being overrun, that tells me that the base plan for a long time has not been where it needs to be.
right,
If you
it's
need
too
to
low. Yeah.
try to bail it out last minute with a hail mary of hey, here's a 1,200 gram carb day, it is too late. Like when
Yeah.
I hear of someone that's like where it's like okay, instead of that, like we ran the base plan for a couple days, I came down, and then 3 days in a row my coach gave me like a moderate high carb day that was 600 or 700 grams. It's like okay, this is someone with a plan.
Yeah. No, I agree. And I started a mentorship with Austin Stout because
Oh, awesome.
he's somebody that I really,
He's one of the best,
everything he
dude.
says, yeah, it's just so like centered. You know what I mean?
It's so
He's like,
logical. He has a
yeah,
rationale for all of it.
in a sport that's really not. You know what I mean? Like
Yes.
everybody's
Yeah.
very extreme and like that's kind of like some people's image. But he
Yes.
like everything he says is just very like middle of the road, but it makes sense. And
Yep.
having his perspective. Because like last year, when the shows were done, like I had put most of my life on hold, like
Yeah.
savings, goals, all that. I was all bodybuilding, and I sucked at the shows. And like it was this big
Yeah.
empty feeling. This year, I'm like, I'm not doing it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm gonna invest in some education. I'm gonna get my coaching things started
Awesome.
and kind of have like all this outside stuff too, so that when it's over, I'm better off than I was before. So that's been a huge part this time around too. And I know we're past the hour, so I'm not gonna keep you, but
No,
yeah,
you're good, man.
it's been fun talking to you. I could talk
Yeah.
bodybuilding all day, and
No, I'm
now,
the same way.
yeah. So
No, I'm the same way. It's man, it's been great to hear the story because we've been talking back and forth for a while now, and I've seen it play out. I see how you're looking now compared to the previous shows. And so I was just excited to hear your perspective, like face to face, on how it's all been and how you're feeling going into it. Man, I'm stoked for you. I have a couple younger guys that are doing Atlantic State, so I'll be paying close attention to the show. But I'm excited for you, man. I fully expect you to walk in and win the overall, and it's going to be a the physique. The result is what you want, of course, in that regard. But I think that physique is just going to speak for itself compared to. I mean, you're 224 last year and you're 260 right now. I mean, that is
yeah,
unbelievable, dude.
I'm still shocked, man.
In
Yeah,
bodybuilding, that is some wild, wild shit. As someone that's seen it all and done it all, I've been around this for a long ass time. And hearing that and seeing it, like speaking with you and knowing that it's the real deal, like, man, that is some crazy stuff. So I appreciate you coming on. I would love to have you back on after the shows. That way you
oh
have
yeah,
like a moment to
absolutely.
come back to life and be a human for a little bit and go to dinner with your girlfriend and all that. And then we'll get back on and reflect on how the show went. But for now, where can people find you on Instagram, like for coaching?
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram. It's just my first and last name, so it's Preslee Brown.
Okay.
Um, that's the main place.
Yeah. And then you mentioned that you're like affiliated with a couple companies.
I just have one that I have a code for, New Ethics, through
Okay.
Jason.
Yeah.
It's
That's
just
his like health supplements, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's actually pretty good stuff. I'm usually on the cheaper side with supplements if I think the quality is going to be the same. So if I
Yeah.
can get like, Double Wood or Nutricost or something, and I think it's
Yeah.
going to be equal, but there is some stuff that I like to spend a little bit more on, like Tudka, or
Yes. Yeah.
he's got like a really good detoxifying protein powder, Metapure. That's what I
Okay.
use during the flush. All that stuff it's actually pretty high quality, and I do
Awesome.
spend the extra money on some of that. So,
You have a
and
code?
that's all on my Instagram. Yeah, it's PFit.
Okay, cool. All right, I'll put the links for that below. And thanks again for taking time to join the show. I know you're 2 weeks out.
Yeah. No,
So
thank
for
you.
Presley
Thanks for having me.
Brown, I'm Joseph Percher. This was the One More Rep podcast. And until next time, guys, we are out.